You know, I was going to make a joke about retirement, but it didn't work. We are still at work, though. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on if you love podcasting. So, welcome to the DQ Frenzy. And there's some big news. Quinn, did you hear the big news?
Oh, you mean like I hit my 3 year streak on Duolingo?
No, no one
Ah,
gives a shit about that. It's the fact that Zack Martin's retiring. That's the big news.
that's
Du-
crazy.
Duolingo
Good
could wait.
riddance.
You could do another. You could do another podcast with reviewing Duolingo, your streaks or whatever, and your stats. But yes, All Pro, 9-time All Pro, Zack Martin, and told the Cowboys he was officially retiring today. And this just happened a few hours ago. And the crazy stat here, Quinn, I don't know if you know this. He obviously 9-time All Pro, 7 accepted holding penalties in his career. That's amazing. You got to swallow your pride, Quinn. I know, Cowboys, but you
Ugh.
have to acknowledge that this man's an all-time great. Definitely to me, a first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the best blockers of all time. And yeah, just another troubling news for the Cowboys. So, what did you think of the Martin retirement? Because it kind of came out of the blue.
Well, I mean, I'll give him his flowers. He was an incredible player. I'm glad he's not playing anymore, so we don't have to deal with him. The Cowboys have one less good player, but damn, he was good, good O lineman, and hats off to him. But I mean, I think there's been rumor about him the past few years, like, oh, is he going to retire soon? I mean, that's how it is with like most people. I mean, Lane Johnson's having a similar conversation, and I'm sure plenty of other players are too across the league. But yeah, good for him. Yeah, I think he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Um, but yeah, Cowboys all in.
The man deserved a ring. I wish he would have gotten out of Dallas and went to like a real team,
Yeah,
like Pittsburgh, to add a lineman and possibly win a Super Bowl. But it is what it is. But congrats on your retirement. All the best in retirement. But now we got to get to the active players, and one of them is active, but might not be active for much longer, and that is Aaron Rodgers himself. He has officially been released from the Jets, and now he's a free agent, just looking for teams. And it kind of intertwines a little bit here because there's another name kind of associated with this, and that is Matthew Stafford. And the Rams are kind of back and forth with him in terms of if they want to keep him. They're basically asking for Stafford's price. So the Rams, I think, most likely want him back. I saw an article here is like they want to make a deal, but Stafford wants specific money. Stafford also carries almost $50 million cap hit if he's released at all. So I doubt that's gonna happen. It would most likely be a trade if he's let go. But we still don't know exactly what his price is yet. But these two kind of intertwine because a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, do the Jets and or do like the Rams get Rodgers and maybe Stafford goes to New York or something like that." I mean, me personally, I think it's kind of dumb if the Rams get rid of Stafford. I don't think you have anybody better right now than him. And I understand age wise scares you and the price scares you. But I don't think anyone expected the Rams after they won that Super Bowl to still be competing. They had the hangover the year after, but then after that, they've been competing pretty well and making the playoffs, which I don't think they expected. That just goes to show how well they've drafted, despite having a lack of first round picks the past few years. And they've built a good team. They built a very good offense around Stafford. And I feel like he's the guy for the job despite age concerns. I don't think Rodgers improves this team. Did he do bad last year? I mean, he didn't do terrible last year, stats wise. But you look at the eye test, he's not who he used to be. So I just think the Rams got to find a way to keep Stafford. I think trading him would be nonsense to me, in my opinion, especially because free agency is not that good this year in the QBs, and the draft is not that good either. So that's my 2 cents. But what do you think about this whole QB free agent situation, specifically Rodgers and Stafford?
I think it's a little silly the Rams did want to get rid of Stafford. I get he's getting older, but like, maybe Stetson Bennett's going to be the next like great
Oh God.
quarterback. But it, I mean, they did pretty darn good last year. I know they just barely won the division and they lost to the Eagles, but like they put a really good game and like it was. I mean, that was the closest game with the Eagles all postseason. So like sometimes it happens you run into a team that is just better. And I mean, the Eagles were the best team in the league this year. I mean, at least according to the Super Bowl. But
According to the Super Bowl.
yeah, I think, I mean, yes, he's getting older, but he didn't look like, oh man, that guy's getting old. Like, he didn't look like Rodgers. Because, I mean, like you said, eye test, Rodgers didn't look like himself. Stats wise, he didn't do terribly, but I feel like the Jets are a dumpster fire. So, like, a lot of things went
That's an
wrong there,
understatement.
too. Yeah, so, like, I don't know. Part of me thinks that if Rodgers would have been on a different team and put up the same numbers, they probably would have been better, had a better winning percentage. I mean, they did fire their coach, GM, defensive coordinator. Like it was a mess. But yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see like the two teams swap quarterbacks, but I don't think the Jets want Stafford when he's older and like thinking about
Mm-hmm.
retirement. And I don't know, the Stafford money thing kind of it feels a little weird because like I get he wants his money, but like for him and his career and his like he's had a very successful career. I don't know what his contracts were like with the Lions, but I imagine he got paid somewhat decently because he was the only thing keeping their team somewhat successful. But like it would feel kind of weird if he just went for like money at this point. Um, I don't know, but yeah, Rodgers isn't a surprise that he was released. I mean, it was kind of like a what do you do really? It feels like a fresh start is nice, and
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, that's just a question of where he goes. And I mean, if Stafford does get traded, I don't know. I mean, I happen to know a Steelers fan that probably has a few opinions on Rodgers and Stafford, either or neither. But
Well, I was going to ask you that too, where you think he's ending up. But Pittsburgh's the favorite. But I don't know if they are getting rid of, I got a picture of it basically, Russ or Fields. I don't know if there's signs that they're getting rid of him. I've heard so many contemplating and contradicting reports that, oh, it's leaning towards that they're gone. Oh, it's leaning towards they're going to keep one of them. It's going to, like, literally any possible situation that you can ask for. Pittsburgh media said it. So I'm leaning towards they're going to run it back. There's just contradictory reports. So the Arthur Smith Russ relationship apparently wasn't that good. And like Russ wanted to call plays at the line, and Arthur Smith just wanted to be his dumbass old school self and thinks that running the ball 30 times a game is going to win you a game in
with
2024
Najee,
with Najee. Yeah, you don't have Derrick Henry anymore. But uh, I think I'm back and forth on this. But if one of Russ or Fields is gone, especially Russ, then I think Rodgers is probably going to Pittsburgh. I really just don't see any other team right now. Why would Rodgers want to go? I mean, Tennessee's got the number one pick, so they're probably getting the QB. Cleveland's probably getting the QB. I mean, the Raiders are the only other team I can see Rodgers going to. And what are they going to do? Rodgers is going to go to Vegas. Devontae's going to go with him right back to Vegas after wanting traded from there. But I mean, Brady might vouch for it. But also, if I'm Rodgers, I mean, both divisions are tough because do I want to play Patrick Mahomes twice a year? Do I want to play the AFC North twice a year? But I'm leaning more towards Pittsburgh because I feel like Rodgers and Tomlin have a pretty good relationship together. They had like a famous clip of them like nodding at each other when Tomlin and Rodgers were up against each other in a game a couple years ago. So I just think it makes sense. Steelers love signing washed people. So There'll be the next one coming through because oh God forbid we got to develop talent. Let's just get a washed vet and he'll solve all of our problems. But what do you think? What do you think,
Maybe
Quinn, in terms of teams?
maybe Rodgers will just be like, you know what? I just want another Super Bowl ring. Let me go join some winning team as a backup. No, he wouldn't do that. Yeah, I mean, I heard some clip, some take that's like Fields was really good in his like starts, and he was really getting good at passing the football. So they should get rid of Russ and just keep Fields and go with that. I'm like, I mean, I didn't watch all the Steelers games, but from what I know, Fields did not play well enough. Well, okay, he won the games, but it's not like you watch that and like I don't think a lot of Steelers fans were like, "That's our future QB right there." You know, I don't know how much of the. I don't think a lot of the Steelers media was upset when they're like upset when Wilson took over because they thought Fields was better.
At first, they kind of were, and then they saw how Russ played, and they were like, "Yeah, it was the right call."
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if a little bit of it was like, "Oh, Russell Wilson," you know, Russell Wilson being his goofy, fun, maybe a little cringy self. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting situation. Honestly, I think you should just running back with Wilson. There's not really a good quarterback market, so like, at least Wilson, you know, he has the talent, and like in the past, he's been good, and like, you guys did pretty well for that stretch, and so maybe things are a little different. Maybe it works out. I mean, I think it would be sensible to keep Russell Wilson over Arthur Smith, even if it's just the excuse of having next year getting rid of Arthur Smith, because I don't know why the heck you guys brought that guy in, but whatever. I think if you were to get a quarterback, I think you'd be better off getting Stafford than Rodgers. But I don't know if Rodgers would really want to go in terms of your weapons are George Pickens, and he makes a catch every like few times a game, and then it's just like, yeah, you know, I don't really want to do a lot more. I mean, Freiermuth's there, but like Rodgers, he likes his tight ends, but he's never been like number one target. He likes his wide receivers, his talented wide receivers, and I mean, who's to say Devontae doesn't just like go, okay, well, you know, this isn't working. Let me just go to a contender where they actually are like, he could go to the Commanders, for instance. I mean, I wouldn't want that, but they've been doing well. Jaden Daniels played well. Like, that's a little more exciting than washed up Rodgers, and the potential to win a Super Bowl would be great for Adams because, to be honest, I don't remember if he got the Super Bowl ring with Rodgers. I want to say no. I think it was
Nope. No.
Yes. So, yeah, I think it was a few years. They drafted him a couple years after.
But, like 4 years after.
Yeah, so he doesn't have a Super Bowl. And I mean, I don't know what the Raiders move was. I think he wanted money and the Raiders offered, and he's like, you know, that's fine. But I don't know. I think he might want something more. But I don't know. I don't know how strong his loyalty is to Rodgers when Rodgers didn't win and like wasn't his old self. So I don't know if he follows him. If he does, it's an interesting package deal because it didn't really do a lot for the Jets. Again, they're a dumpster fire, so I don't know how accurate you can use that to compare to other teams. But like, yeah, I think you should stick with Russ. Fields. Oh, I'm not really a Fields guy. I don't.
That's the thing. I'm kind of leaning the opposite way in terms of I think you try to at least give the young guy a chance rather than just try to stick the veteran out there and see what he could do. And to be honest, if I had a choice between Russ or Rodgers, as much as the personality, I can't stand him, I would prefer Rodgers over Russ. I think Rodgers is way more efficient, especially as a passer. I feel like he could connect with a guy like Pickens way more than Russ could.
Garrett Wilson catch.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like Rodgers still made some great plays. So I would prefer that. I mean, obviously Stafford would be a fever dream, but I just think that's highly, highly unlikely to happen.
Not a great move for the future either. But...
Exactly. I mean, another move that tying into that was rumored for like a couple days and then he just shut it down was Trevor Lawrence was
Yeah.
a big rumor that the Steelers contacted him. And yes, the team, Mr. Duval. Unfortunately, I don't have the clip, so we'll just impersonate him because that's the greatest quote of all time. But yeah, and Lawrence just immediately shut it down, being like, I'm not going to Pittsburgh. I'm staying here. I don't know why the Jags would ever even consider trading him after that contract they signed. I'm pretty sure he had a no trade clause in it too for this year. So I don't know who this reporter is. Probably a Pittsburgh guy that's just desperate for a QB. He's like, oh, Trevor Lawrence wants to go. Like, don't believe all these rumors. Like, that's the moral of the story. These are kind of just people that work for the NFL that are kind of just desperate for news because it's kind of post Super Bowl. We need something interesting. Let's post some BS lie. That could be a big move. But yeah, Trevor's not going anywhere. But yeah, it's a little bit confusing for Pittsburgh QB wise. Can't wait for whoever it is. It's going to suck.
Kenny Pickett. We'll give you back Kenny Pickett.
He has a ring.
He has Super Bowl experience.
More than Lamar Allen.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
Time to switch to receiver because the one big name, obviously, is T. Higgins, who was franchise tagged last year and could possibly be franchise tagged this year because Tuesday at, I believe, 4 o'clock, the franchise tag window started. Now, I don't know if you did your research at all on it, Quinn, because I'm more relying on you if anybody's been tagged. I haven't seen anybody yet.
I haven't seen anything either.
I don't think anybody has yet. Higgins is the big one. I mean, the Bengals could do it again, and a bunch of people are joking like, oh, all 31 teams are going to get T. Higgins this offseason because every team needs a receiver. But Quinn, what do you think in terms of, you think Higgins will get tagged or stay with Cincy? Do you think he'll go to a team that needs a receiver? What do you think?
Well, I think it's funny referring to the Joe Burrow clip of like the Eagles just pay everyone, which is just like, what?
Yeah,
like, can we do that?
He said that.
But that's a tough thing because can you pay Higgins when you're having to pay Jamar Chase this huge contract ever just be like not paying him last year? But I mean, from what I saw, it was about 20, maybe 22 million for them to franchise tag Higgins this coming year. So it feels like it's not really worth it because that'd be a lot just for one extra year. I mean, I know they had some good plays towards the end of the year, but the defense was terrible. Can you rebuild a whole defense in one offseason? I don't know. Yeah. I mean, they also have to deal with Hendrickson, like becoming a free agent, I think, or
they got to extend him.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah,
they got to pay him. They'll probably pay him first before Higgins if they do.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think Higgins. Watching, I think he's very good. I think he can be a number one receiver. I mean, he's shown that when Chase has been out. But I'm sure there's lots of teams that would want him, but I think he's going to hit the open market. It was kind of the conversation last year, and the Bengals were just like, well, we can't come to agreement, so we're just going to franchise tag you for 1 year, hope we make the Super Bowl with you or something. And, yeah, I think he'll want a better defense. I don't know if if he wants just to be paid an absurd amount of money, or because he could probably get it, honestly, with the wide receiver contract market nowadays. He could probably get a pretty penny, or maybe he cares more about actually winning the championship because he was there for the Super Bowl. But I don't know. It'll be interesting. I have a feeling he might go for just more money right now because, well, he's been to the Super Bowl. I mean, they lost, but at least he's been there and he can get paid a lot by someone, probably less so by a contender, unless he goes to like Washington. And I've been talking about Washington as a contender because they've been good. I wouldn't actually group them in the top contenders. You know how we have the Ravens, Chiefs, Bills, Eagles now, I guess is a not just biased Eagles fan to say thing to say, include them in there. But yeah, I mean, I think he definitely gets a new home though this offseason.
I kind of agree. I just don't know how much power Cincy has, but I believe Higgins is a free agent, so he kind of has more control over that. I think he'd want more money. I mean, the Commanders are the team I'm just looking at. That's got to be the top for him to land on. I think that'd be a perfect fit. It'd be a perfect number 2 for Daniels. Now, obviously, like you said, he might not be at the tippy top because of the risk of a sophomore slump by Daniels, or the defense is rough. But I still think the Commanders are a good enough team to where they could overcome any of those concerns and be a good team and make the playoffs. I mean, other teams,
Steelers.
Pittsburgh's always mentioned receivers wise. The Chargers desperately need receiver help for Herbert.
I think the Steelers would be a pretty good place because you get that big physical kind of big body tight end wide receiver, and I feel like he would complement Pickens well because Pickens can do the crazy catches and
you just have to look at the market. That's the big thing.
That's the
and
thing.
we're
What
the
the Steelers pay.
We have the highest paid defense. So how much are we really going to be willing to pay him? I feel like the Commanders or Chargers have more money to be able to pay T. Higgins.
You're not going to be able to pay him enough, I think.
Like the Commanders have a rookie quarterback, so they got to take advantage and go for it before they got to pay it, Daniels. Chargers is a little bit different, but yeah, those are the top teams I'm thinking of. So, but yeah, it's very interesting. But Higgins has been on that free agent rumor for a while, so we'll have to see. It'll be exciting. And like I said, I didn't introduce the episode here, but we're going to transition into other sports in a bit. But this is more of a chill episode. But starting next week, we're going to have a new format, Quinn and I, where we go division by division and talk about what they need to do to improve draft wise. We don't know what we're going to start with yet, but we will announce it to you guys on social media, obviously TikTok, Instagram, Shorts, all that fun jazz. But yeah, that'll be our brand new format here. We'll still go over if there's any big news going on, but most of our episodes are going to be dedicated to that, and we might get some special guests on. Quinn knows some fans of teams. I certainly know some fans of teams. So it should be fun. It'll be a good time. Yeah, it should be fun. Football's never over. It's never truly over because it's draft season.
Yeah, so until July.
Yeah, then it's dead until training camp. But time to transition into other sports here, specifically 4 nations. The U.S. and Canada had 3 fights in under 10 seconds to start their game. Meanwhile, the All-Star game was horrible. I mean, you could say it's an opinion-based thing all you want, but I mean, the players now they don't want to risk injuring themselves. A lot of people pulled out of it. I don't think LeBron even played. So, and the guys just didn't try. The dunk contest was carried by one person, pretty much saved the whole contest by dunking over a car. But besides that, it just wasn't that eventful. Meanwhile, you got U.S. and Canada killing themselves out there to win a first ever 4 Nations face-off. And we got part 2 in about 10 minutes from where we're recording on Thursday night. USA Canada part 2. And it was a good game. Besides the fighting, it was a fun game and physical. I know, Quinn, hockey and basketball, I don't think are you're that into either, especially hockey, that into it. But, and I'm not as diehard. Football's our sport. But NHL's figured it out. They've had a lot of shit, especially their ownership over the years. But I think they figured it out in terms of All-Star Weekend. And I think they might have, I don't want to say surpassed, but to me, them and baseball got the best all-star traditions. While now football and basketball are kind of in the crapper. So is there a way the NBA, Quinn, could fix their all-star weekend? Or do you think just because of the times and how agents are with their players, not wanting them to get hurt, you think it can't be fixed?
Well, I'll start with the baseball. Their all-star game is great because I feel like there's risk in baseball of getting hurt, obviously, but I feel like it's easier to just go out there and, as a batter, just slam it. Pitcher, you don't get injured
Yeah.
as much, so they're able to just go for it and I think have a little more fun. Um, I think hockey, I mean, you also get injured, but they're just going at it. Like they don't care. And so that's why it's kind of fun too. And so like hockey is like my least watched sport of like the main ones, not include like lacrosse. But
Main sport lacrosse.
yeah.
Sure.
Wow.
Sure.
So entertaining.
No disrespect to people who play it, but
Yeah. Yeah. But regardless, yeah, I don't watch hockey, but I've certainly seen the news stories about like, oh yeah, it's just like four nations just going crazy. And I mean, I think it's the mentality of the players. I don't know if the NBA is going to be able to reset. It almost feels like, oh, let's try and push this because like all the other leagues are doing it. The players are just like maybe if they did more, like I know NFL is struggling, excuse me, as well with their Pro Bowl kind of thing, but like maybe more mini games would be better for basketball. I mean, I know there's not as much, but like the dunk contest is really interesting and kind of fun as long as people try. Like if they focus on that and a few other things, I think it could be more fun, but I think it's more of an issue with the players. Yeah, the getting hurt. They feel a little more focused on their season. I don't know if the hockey guys are able to just be like turn it off and go like, "Yeah, America time. We're just gonna play for our country." But yeah, it's interesting.
well, we got the whole national anthem protest too,
Yeah,
which is interesting to say the least.
interesting. Yep.
But I'm not sure if there's that much of a solution to really fix this. I mean, we're just in this era now. It's not just the NBA. You see college football guys pull out of bowl games because if your team's not in the playoffs, what's the point of playing when you could go prepare for the draft? You see NBA players sitting out regular season games when they can clearly play too. So that just goes to show you. And I don't want to sit
They're
here
lazy. No good for nothing, highly paid.
But the thing is, I don't want to be, because I'm not nowhere near like a professional athlete. I don't want to be that much of an asshole and be like that to them. But we want to see them care. And we saw what the NBA tried to do with the last year with the NBA Cup during the regular season to like fix the lower ratings because of them happening during the NFL season. And it kind of works. I mean, the courts look cooler, but I mean, didn't drive up that much attention that much because it's kind of pointless. Like the NBA, I just think you can't help it. Another big factor is NBA players get paid significantly more than NHL players. Like their salary cap is way higher than hockey players. Like hockey players don't get paid nearly as enough as the star NBA players. It's just like you said, Quinn, it's a mentality. These hockey players like just have a mentality where they're going to give it their all, and especially for national pride. It could sound cheesy, but it's true. I mean, there's pride in these games, and it's like cool matchups with like Crosby and McDavid on Canada versus some of the best we got in US. It's not just them too. I mean, Sweden's a good team. They beat us a couple of days ago. I mean, this is a good idea by the NHL. And I feel like this should replace the All-Star game. I just think the NBA, there's not much you can do. There's not really much you can do. Maybe like showcase more of the G League players or the players that don't play as much or something. If there's a way we could do that to maybe give them a chance to try, maybe get Bronny more of a spotlight, have him start an All-Star game because what
Maybe
he
like
got to lose, he
backups.
barely plays.
Yeah, put the backups in there, give them their chance to shine and show off their skills.
Yeah, I mean, for God's sakes, the celebrities try more in the Celebrity All-Star game than the NBA players do. And I understand basketball, it's a risk, but I mean, it's not that physical of a sport compared to hockey.
Football or hockey where you're slamming into each other.
How many times do we see people play on the street play basketball against each other and they're fine?
Yeah.
Like I don't understand why we can't try, but I just don't think there's much we could do. It's just this era of lazy people.
Yeah, you don't see me going to work and you're like, hey, I don't feel like working today. I'm just gonna sit out.
Well, sometimes I do, but but you got a big boy job, not me yet. Almost though. But it's time to have some even more fun with our segments here. I'll start with my clip of the week as always. Like I mentioned last week, no intro for this because there's no point of an intro when I'm playing a clip anyway. But your clip of the week goes to Haley Steinfeld, fiance of Josh Allen. She did like a professional interview and she was a savage in it, bringing up the Bills. This is a really quick clip, but check it out.
How many yards is a roughing the passer penalty? 15 yards. Name the 4 teams in the AFC East Division. You got the Buffalo Bills and the Bills' 3 sons.
I mean, damn. She owned them. And I'm pretty sure Chiefs fans were very civil in the comments and weren't going after her being like, well, we're your daddy, so shut up or something like that. So, but that was pretty savage of Haley. So good for her.
Yeah.
Haley
Patriots
Steinfeld over Taylor
angry,
Swift any day. Yeah, but
I'm sure Patriots fans were like, I'm sorry, what? What is this like little like startup team
more Jets fans
talking about?
I mean, it's Boston fans, but it's more Jets fans that might be pissed because New York fans are just angry at everything. But
I mean, the Empire State Building was green for the Super Bowl and going to the Super Bowl. I don't think that made Giants fans very happy.
Oh yeah, oh boy, I can't imagine being just any New York fan right now. At least I guess they got the Knicks. But Quinn, do you have your wow and ow this week? I'm curious because
no, nothing happened.
Nothing happened. That's
it
like
will be continued in the regular season. Maybe the preseason. Maybe.
That's like the ultimate owl right there. I made that intro for nothing, man. But
yeah, you made it for next year. And that the 2 times we used it.
But you know what? I got a good excuse to play the intro because the final segment here, since it's more of a laid back episode, we're going to look back at our like funny moments throughout the season, throughout the podcast, and just our predictions and see what aged well and what did it. And you could basically say that's wow and ow.
Wow and ow.
Wow. Stokely! Wow! No!
I had a lot of those no's in these predictions, but I got one more clip to play before we get started on what we reflect and look back on because it has a little bit of our predictions. This was one of my like funny TikToks of us saying we're a professional podcast, and I joke like I've shown like you before you like showed your face had like a camera of just like the ceiling, how you kept glitching in and out, and then I had a joke of like, oh, we had bad predictions. And this was early in the season, and I think one of the clips that's in the video is you saying Denver making the playoffs, which was actually one of your better predictions. But then you kind of shat on the Commanders, saying, oh, the preseason hype is stupid. Daniels will not win Rookie of the Year. So check this out.
Substantial. This is a great spark of hope for the Broncos. Now, I don't know if they're... I mean, the Packers are just finding ways to win, you know? It's not like 13 for 19.
Or the show was the defense and special teams for the Cowboys because Turpin got a punt return for a touchdown and the defense just was all over Watson. Cleveland, I like this Dolphins team on paper. I think they'll win.
Hey, yo, what the?
And then number 7, I have the Broncos. Like I said, we're not overreacting to preseason, but we're overreacting to preseason. Bo Nix.
Woo-hoo.
Sean Payton. Commanders, I don't think they're going to do as well as everyone thinks they are with Jaden Daniels. Everyone's like, oh, he's so great. He's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I don't think so. This is the Commanders.
7, Jaden Daniels just... And, oh my God, no way. Scary Terry! And...
Quinn, we got some explaining to do.
About how right we were? Yeah.
Well, good for your Broncos pick, but we'll start with you, Quinn, because both you and I got our predictions out there. So, what aged well? What didn't age well?
Yeah. Let's see. Do we want to start off with division predictions, or I guess we'll start with division predictions. Maybe look at playoff predictions too.
Yeah, sure.
First, I did find I believe week 1 power rankings. I thought it'd be interesting to go over quick. Number 10, I had the Saints, which not great. Number
Jeez.
9, I had the Dolphins. 8, I had the Bills. Too low, but at least they weren't as far off as the Dolphins and Saints. Packers at 7.
Reasonable.
I think that would hold up to the end of the season here, relatively. Number 6, I had the Lions. Not too far off. 5, I had the Texans. A little high, but we'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that team.
Yeah. Number 4, the Niners. Oh, that was rough. Number 3, the Ravens. I'll take that. Number 2, the Eagles, and number 1, the Chiefs. So nothing I would say like exactly on point. Maybe the Packers.
Wasn't actually terrible.
No,
I'll say
I
that.
mean the Chiefs first was pretty easy. The Ravens, I'd be happy with the Ravens now at 3 or 4. But excuse me, yeah. Anyway, so division predictions. So I did not do records for the teams. I did for the NFC East, just because. But speaking of, I'll start with them. I had the Eagles, Cowboys, Commanders, Giants. I had the Eagles 13-4, Cowboys 10-7, Commanders 5-12, and Giants 3-14. The Giants might have been right. I don't know what their actual record was, but so that wasn't great. Do you want to bounce back and forth between our division predictions? And
I mean, yeah, I would say, obviously my worst prediction was Miami. I think I had them at like 13-4 or something and winning the division and the 1 seed in the playoffs. That aged horribly. But I mean, looking at what I have, it's not the worst. I mean, Ravens was right. Texans was right, winning the division, even though me and you kind of believed in the hype too much. Chiefs was right. Lions was right, but the NFC North was a bit rough because I had Minnesota in last. And I believed in the Chicago hype, and they were terrible.
I did too.
NFC South, I mean, that's a crapshoot. I picked Atlanta, but had Tampa right there with them. So
Same.
And then the NFC West, the Niners, I had them winning the division. But again, I had the Rams in second, and the Niners got injured to shit.
Same.
So not a lot you could do. So it wasn't – the Dolphins was really the only one that was like way off. But like others weren't terrible.
Yeah. I mean, I also chose the Ravens to win, Texans to win, Chiefs to win, Eagles, Lions. I chose the Niners to win their division too. Like you, had the Rams in second. So I feel like overall we had a lot of the same, but at least like we weren't too far off. Like I had the Falcons, then Bucks. And I had the Dolphins in first. I had the Bills lower. I had the Jets above the Bills. That was my worst take. I had said the Bills weren't going to be very good this year because of losing their weapons and everything. And I mean, I was wrong. But yeah, I don't think we did terribly this year. I mean, I did assign some sleeper and overhyped teams, so I said the Rams were a sleeper team, which all right,
kind of on.
I said the Falcons were a sleeper. I said the Broncos were a sleeper, so that's my highlight. The Broncos.
That's probably your highlight of the year was just that team.
Yeah, I said the Jags were overhyped. I guess everyone was excited about the Jags at the beginning of the season. I don't remember that. But
I called that too. I said they were going to be terrible too, and no one liked that. But
yeah,
we were right.
Guess what? We were right.
We were right.
People actually thought the Jags were going to be good. What is this?
Duval.
Duval. I said the Bengals would be a sleeper, which I mean, they did bad, but I mean they were good in stat wise. So
it was all the defense's fault.
Yeah. I said the Browns were overhyped. I don't know how they were hyped up in the first place, but apparently they were. So, but that's a good. I mean, I guess those overhyped teams, the Jags and Browns, are good because we don't remember them. But anyway, I said the Bills are overhyped. That was bad. I said the Jets were a sleeper. That was bad. But yeah, we kind of know what we're talking about a little bit.
I mean, in terms of my playoffs, I didn't really have any do the sleeper teams like you did, but I had Indy in the playoffs as the 7th seed, and that was rough. I believed in the Richardson hype for some reason. I had the Bengals in too, but that one's not like a ridiculous pick. Everyone
Yeah,
thinks the Bengals will usually be better than what they
Bengals and
think.
Niners were just kind of.
I mean, my 2-1 seeds were Miami and the Niners. Boy, was that bad. But then, yeah, I had the Falcons in the playoffs. I had the Cowboys in the playoffs. I mentioned the Bears earlier. None of them made it. So it's a little bit tough. My conference championship games, again, we believe in the Texans hype. I think it was the same ones. I had Texans Chiefs. I think you had Texans Chiefs too, or some variation of Texans.
I did.
And then my
Yeah.
NFC championship was a rematch of last year. But at least my preseason Super Bowl pick, one of the teams were in it. So, and I did have the Chiefs losing in the Super Bowl in the preseason pick. It was just a completely wrong team.
So to start off, I just do want to say I did predict the Eagles to win the Super Bowl this year, and
Go
I was
ahead.
right.
Right, go at it.
Maybe I got lucky because I'm an Eagles fan, but yeah, I mean I had the Eagles as the 1 seed in the NFC. It wasn't great, but I mean they were pretty good. But yeah, I had the Falcons making it, the Rams, the Bears, Lions, Packers, and Niners. So I mean the Niners was wrong, the Bears and the Falcons, but I'll take that. And then AFC, I had the Bengals and Dolphins, and that wasn't good. The Jets, Ravens, and the Broncos, Texans. Unfortunately, and the Chiefs is the 1 seed. So that was right, at least. I did have the Broncos playing the Texans in the intro game, as the 2 and 7 seed game for the AFC. But interesting enough, divisional round, I had the Rams playing the Eagles, and the Eagles winning.
Whoa.
So that was fun.
There you go.
I had the Lions playing the Niners. So the Lions were there. The Niners, slightly different, like reddish, maroonish team.
There's gold, red and gold in there.
Yeah,
in
exactly. Yeah, I got a little confused. I see like colors in my head. Yeah.
I hate both teams.
Yeah. And then on the AFC side, I had the Bengals playing the Chiefs and Ravens playing the Texans. So swapped a little bit, Texans, Chiefs, Ravens, and then Bills. And then, yeah, my NFC championship was Eagles, Lions, which arguably probably should have happened, or what most people thought would have happened this season, at least, in the playoffs. And then the Chiefs and the Texans. I was thinking the Texans would do really well this year, but I had them losing to the Eagles ultimately. And then I do have here some of the predictions about who would win different awards.
I was about to say that. And let me tell you, Quinn, would it be a shocker to say I'd had 0 right? None of the awards I predicted right at all.
I have not read through them yet, but we'll do it together. Why not? I didn't have funniest coach. I had that Tyreek Hill would decline and not have a good season. That was one of my big points, and
oh yeah,
it hit.
The whole team declined.
Yeah, and yeah, because I mean Hill had his chances too. I mean he's been good with backups and other quarterbacks before, but he was bad this season, and now he wants to go out and go to another team and whatever. Anyway, for quarterbacks, the leader in passing, I had Stroud. I was wrong. Passing touchdowns, I had Prescott. And then he got hurt. Rushing touchdowns for quarterbacks, I put Kyler Murray or Josh Allen. I don't know. Allen might have.
I still think
Maybe
Lamar had the most, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, I wasn't sure. So that wasn't terrible. The interceptions, I said Jaden Daniels. For running backs, I had McCaffrey getting the most rushing yards. Unfortunate. Rushing touchdowns, I had I had Henry. Derrick Henry. Oh, I wrote Hall/Henry. Okay. I was trying to figure out what first name I wrote. Yeah, so I don't know who got the most rushing touchdowns. You? Or running back wise, at least.
Well, rushing yards, I had McCaffrey.
Yeah.
So there you go. Rushing TDs, I had the King Henry. So there you go for that.
Was that
Most passing yards, I had Dak. He got hurt. Most passing TDs, Burrow. Close. I don't think he got the most. I think it was Lamar. I'm pretty sure got the most. He had like 45 or something, but close. Most rushing TDs, Allen. Close. Again, Lamar just had to be God himself. Most INTs, Baker. He tied for the most with, I believe, Cousins. So, yep, Cousins. So, call that one.
That's good.
Jumping into the wide receivers, most receiving touchdown or receiving yards, CD. No.
Same.
Cowboys decline. Most receiving touchdowns, St. Brown.
I said St. Brown too.
It was a decent call, but yeah, he kind of, I don't want to say declined. He still had a good year, but did like go off like he did the previous year. The last two I had defense, most sacks, Max Crosby went to Hendrickson. Most INTs, I had Surtain. I don't know if he had the most, but he was pretty close. He had like 5. So he was up there. I don't think he had the most, but that wasn't a bad prediction.
Yeah. I'll mention briefly. So I had the same wide receiver yards, Lamb, and touchdown, St. Brown. I said sacks would be Aiden Hutchinson, which unfortunately got hurt. And then interceptions, I said Rasul Douglas or Jesse Bates. I'm going to look up in a moment who it actually was, but I don't think it was them.
Let me see. I'm actually going to look it up right now.
All right.
Oh, Kirby Joseph. That's right.
Yeah.
He had 9 because the dude just went off that year.
Who was it that had the most rushing touchdowns?
I think it was Henry. It was either Henry. Let's see. You see how so prepared we are for this. I gotta just assume.
Hey, this is a laid back episode, guys. Chill vibes. Cold takes.
Yeah, it was Henry. He had 17.
Okay, nice.
Right.
Yeah, look, we got that. Right.
I had a feeling because of like red zone opportunities. But yeah. But those picks weren't bad. The awards picks, like I said, for me were terrible.
I actually didn't do as bad as I thought.
I guess we'll switch back and forth. Like I'll say my MVP, you say yours. Just keep flip flopping.
That sounds good.
Mine was Mahomes.
Mine was Jalen Hurts.
My offensive player of the year was CeeDee Lamb.
Mine was Jamar Chase.
That one's not too bad, actually. My defensive player of the year was Max Crosby.
No, mine was Max Crosby.
No, mine was. I mean, he didn't have a terrible year, but nowhere near Hendrickson. My coach of the year was D'Amico Ryans.
I had Jim Harbaugh or Raheem Morse.
I mean, no one would have thought that O'Connell and the Vikings would be that good.
Yeah.
Still, comeback player of the year. Probably my worst one, Aaron Rodgers.
You see, I had Rodgers or Burrow.
Oh, so by a technicality, you get half a point because you put 2 guys. You freaking coward. But
I mean, these were my notes for the show. I don't know who I actually picked in the show, but yeah, I'll take half points.
Defensive rookie of the year, I had Arnold from the Lions. I mean, he played a good year, but nowhere near versus level.
I had Latu or Quinyon Mitchell. So, I mean, Quinyon was a candidate. So
at least he was a candidate.
Yeah, I had or Cooper DeJean, Quinyon or Cooper. So, that's not terrible.
But I think it's safe to say, I think you kind of had the edge on me in terms of like bold predictions. I mean, you literally had the Super Bowl winner. You kind of were closer in terms of touchdowns, yards, and awards. So, Quinn, we'll give you the award for the best predictor this year.
Woohoo!
I will swallow my pride and not cry to sleep tonight, but
I'd like to thank the DQ Frenzy for giving me the cold vibes and chill takes.
Chill vibes and cold takes. You've already screwed it up, man.
Nah, it was on purpose.
Slogan.
both.
Even though I've said that slogan maybe once all season and just stopped saying it.
Yeah, we said in the beginning because that was fun, but yeah.
Speaking of YouTuber channels, we want to give, before we end this episode, a shout out to our boy Tom Grossi. That man,
Grossi.
For one, he's a saint because he's such a nice dude, but he's a beast of a content creator. This dude, the NFL season's over. Most of the YouTubers maybe want to chill, laid back. Not this guy. No, let's stream until we hit $1 million in charity or 1 million subscribers, but it's probably going to be the charity. And he's been going since like Sunday night. So we're on day like 5 right now. And the man's had so many like celebrities on and YouTubers. He had our man Benchwarmer Brand on, and that's like that our 2 favorite YouTubers, the ultimate collab. So shout out to you, man. Great work.
Yeah.
Great.
Keep it up.
Great work. Keep it up. At least he's getting sleep. I was scared that he was going to be like, oh, I'm not going to stop streaming until it's not sleep until we get it. At least he's a little bit normal in that sense. But the man's dedication's unmatched. I sure as hell would never have the guts to do that, to talk for that long. But good for him, man. Good for him. Hope your Packers can improve a little bit, even though it's funny to see Quinn be a little sad over the Packers, but that's his 3rd team. So what does it matter? But that's going to do it here for this episode. Like I said, a little bit shorter, but that's what we wanted, a little more laid back. So don't kill us for not knowing stats or anything. We just wanted to chill.
We're recuperating, and we're going to go attack all those divisions team by team, give you guys a breakdown you want and need.
Yes. In terms of what I'm leaning towards breaking news, I'm leaning towards the NFC East to start us off with the Super Bowl champions.
NFC
but
Beast.
Well, I wouldn't say. Well, I guess you and the Commanders, not the other 2 teams, but we'll make that official. But that's what I'm leaning towards to start, because some other divisions where you want some guests for it. But we'll see you guys next week. Have a good weekend, guys, and we will see you right back here next week on the TQ Frenzy.
See you guys. Stay cold.